wants and needs and what comes up. So let's just start by sitting and take a minute to come to the here and now and feel how your feet are placed on the rug or on your shoes if you stay with the shoes on. Can you feel your little toe touching or not touching? Your big toe touching or not touching? Where is the heel? How is it placed on the rug? Do you have weight on the heel? Do you have weight on the big toe cushions? Like if you were to print your foot into ink, where would be the majority of the ink? You know, like we do fingerprints, we can do footprint. Is one footprint clearly more than the other one? And if the other one is lacking, where is it that it's not really? And play with it and maybe try to put a little bit more ink into that area and see how it changes the position of your knee. Does it affect your pelvis? Because sometimes we wake up in the morning and one hip that is hurting or locked. And I find that to go right into the area that's locked or rusty or in pain is not the solution. It's a joint or two above or under. So as we change the imprint of our foot, start to look how it affects the lower leg, the knees, the thigh, the pelvis, the rotation of your spine. And let's start by printing the outside of the right foot into the ground. Press the right outside, not the medial, but the outside of the right foot into the ground and feel how it travels into your body and let it go. And again, imprint the outside of the right foot and let it go. And do it again and again and again. And learn how it changes the position of your pelvis, the position of your sitting bone. Are you lifting your sitting bones? Are you rolling your sitting bones? Are you contracting your pelvic muscles? Are you contracting your abdominals? What are you doing specifically, personally?
It is.
Yeah, I just put it on 74.
Oh. She didn't scream that much. I'm sorry. You want to relax and then you hear.
I can't help it.
I'm sorry. No, it's not you.
Yeah.
Go out and tell them all to be quiet.
Yes.
And when you print your right side, are you lifting your big toe? Can you do it without lifting your big toe? Can you do it with lifting your big toe? How does it change? Can you press the outside, moving through the bones and not necessarily move the knee so much? Can you direct it backwards rather than outwards? Try both. See which one is more effective for you. So of course we all have opinions, and I have an opinion about it. And my opinion is that even when we press on the outside, if I direct it backwards, I stay within. If I take it out, I lose strength and balance. So try both. Going out and feel how your body is starting to fall to the side, where if you're taking it backwards, you can build up stability. Or maybe it's just my imagination. How does it work for you? How much tension do you hold in your toes? Is that tension needed? Can you let go of what's parasitic tension? So the first thing is even to become aware of what we're doing. And let go that outside, and just have again the feet on the ground and compare between the two. Is the bottom of your right foot starting to be tingling and awake and fuller in the way that it's laying on the ground? And let's start pressing the big toe and the inside of the heel. And notice what happens when you do that. Are you taking your whole thigh? Are you taking the knee with it? Are you contracting muscles? If you are contracting muscles, which one? Where? You don't have to call them names, but is it in your leg? Is it in your thigh? Is it in your belly? How does it feel putting the weight into the inside and feeling the belly going, And if you allow the knee to fall in, feel what it does to your stability and your strength. Versus if you put the weight down but you push it backwards, what does it do for your stability and your strength? And now we're going to go one time on the outer and on the inner part of the foot. The outer and the inner. On one leg at a time.
Oh, one leg.
One, just the right leg. The outside and the inside.
Do you move the leg or just?
No, I'm pressing, I'm imprinting, I'm making a imprint into
Okay.
the rug on the outside and then imprint on the inside.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out how to do less and less with muscle and more with bones, directing the movement maybe backwards rather than out and in, where I can lose balance. So we hear a lot that, as we grow older, we lose balance, and you have to work on your balance, you have to work on the balance. And it's like one of the simplest things for me to say, find a corner and start putting your underwear with the corners,
Yeah.
But that's again a very big movement from the outside. But what we're doing today is we're trying to figure out how to get into the core of the body while we're still moving, because balance is not steady, it's not stable, no movement. We're constantly finding balance. It's an ongoing, the arm muscle in the body that's specifically built for continuously doing that, like the 3 tendons that going down here that are continuously moving so we can find the balance.
They taught me the term for that at Craig Hospital. It was priopreperception.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a long
Quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go back into the outside of the foot, the inside of the foot, the outside of the right foot, the inside of the right foot, and see if you can really let the toes rest, because they're not part of the game. When they're not invited to this game, the toes are not invited. Toes are not invited. Toes.
They're still busy, all by themselves.
Send them home to have some snack. It's bones, 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 the outer side of the leg, the inside of the side of the leg. And can you start going from inside to the outside? Maybe a little faster. And find a rhythm where the movement of the foot is connected to the sitting bone that you're sitting on. So the right sitting bone is moving back and forth as you are imprinting, likely, the outside and the inside, the outside and the inside. And you don't have to be successful necessarily right away, but try to find that. It's like skiing, right? I never skied, I'm just talking out of my. So you're doing this, right, on ski? You're sliding forward and back?
But you're also balancing.
But you're also balanced, so you have the outside and the inside while you're going back and forth. So now we let go of the outside and inside, and we're gonna think about the center of the foot, going through the center of the knee, going into our sitting bone. And imagine that line and start sliding back and forth on that line. So the foot is not moving on the rug. It's the knee that's moving forward out of the pelvis and in and out and in. And you're walking with the right side of your body forward and back. What does your shoulder do? What are your ribs doing? When are you inhaling? When are you exhaling? Is there smooth movement of the leg in and out of the pelvis? And as you're finding that line between the second and the third toe to the middle of the knee into the hip joint, start picturing the sacrum, the joint here, and you can even put your hand and feel the gliding motion of that joint right here between the sacrum and the ilium. When the right leg sliding in and out.
That's the joint I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I was telling her about the sacrum.
So the sacrum is a triangle bone sitting right there in the middle, and there is a joint where the ilium, the big bones of the hip, are meeting. And many times it gets kind of like stuck, rusty in a position. Or that one side doesn't want to move. So where? Or one side is higher, or one side is forward, or one side is back. And that affects, first of all, the pain in the lower back and the ability to walk. So right now we kind of, as we're moving away from the foot balancing and the alignment with the bones, now we start looking at the opening in the sacrum to to allow that gliding. So you can even put your hand and feel how much it moves. Is it smooth? Does it get stuck? Does it have any rust in there? Can you, with your intention and your breath, relax into it enough to allow a little bit more gliding without effort, without doing, just gliding? So it's just the bones going in and out. And rest the body and kind of, again, just put your eyes underneath the rug and feel how the right foot is touching the rug versus the left, and how much awareness you have on the right versus the left. And I grew up in the generation where we were smoking. So my image is now going to be with taking a cigarette butt and crushing it into the floor by taking the heel out, only out and back down, and up and out and back down. And you can put your hand again on the joint here and feel that as the heel is pivoting out, the joint is opening and this ilium is rolling in forward. So this bone, as the heel goes forward, this bone goes forward as well. So it's not just up, it's up and out and back in. And up and out.
You're almost going down too, yes? A little bit.
I'm just really flexible. So
Yeah.
just do whatever feels right. You can do it up to here, or you can take it all the way to here. You know, you don't have to do the amount that I do. I mean, we all have different flexibility. I happen to be very flexible in my legs. The idea is not how far I go, but is the body, the movement of the leg reflected in my pelvis, reflected in my spine, reflected in my ribs. I'm hoping to get to the ribs, but right now we're still finding how the pelvis movement is reflected in the heel movement. And rest. Take a minute to find the center again on the chair. And now we're going to squish the cigarette in the opposite direction. So the heel will go up and inward, and the pelvis will go roll outward. It's like you're trying to look behind your right shoulder. So yeah, let's take it into the ribs and the shoulder and the head. Why not? So you're lifting the heel and you start squishing the cigarette butt and you're rotating, 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 and build the rotation. Stay away from, oh, I know the exercise. Okay? Find how the heel is coming, how it's rotating, how it goes through the bones, through the pelvis, into the ribs, into the shoulder, into the head. Because we're not trying to exercise, we're trying to learn and embody a sensation of a whole body movement. That things are integrated so we can do them with less tension, less extras. Like holding the toes up, or like lifting the opposite shoulder, or whatever it is that we do. So you can find the exhale and the relaxation into it. So life happens, right? We cannot control what life brings us. You know, there are big waves, big winds, small winds, but we can observe it, and that's what we're doing. So the life brings heal up, heal out, and how does it affect the ripples through me? If I try to do something about it, it brings tension and resistance. That's right, nice. Yeah, beautiful. Yes.
Do you think your brain is relearning?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what helps.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
We are learning. I mean, we learned almost everything. We
Yeah.
have very little instincts like birds or dogs or, you know, animals. But we look at our parents and we learn how to walk and we learn, you know, it is a learning process. So we build up habits through the years, and with awareness, we can undo those if they don't work for us.
Yeah.
So take a minute again to maybe close your eyes and notice the right side, and how does it feels to live in the right side now versus the left side. Can you sense any change? Is it in a sensation, in a feeling, weight, color? Or vibration? And let's try to find it on the left side. So we'll start by the imprinting on the outside. And you already know that my guidance to find the bones and go with the lines of the bones rather than to go so far out where you lose the balance. But we'll take a few minutes to find it. Are your feet relaxed? Are you able to move through the vectors of the bones and do as little as possible with muscle tension? The muscle come to the aid only to the degree that they are needed to move us. Can you feel the right side, the left side of the outer part of your foot imprinting? Is it from the little toe all the way through to the heel? Do you have sections that are not printing down into the rug? Can you feel the sitting bone on the left side moving back and forth? Is it on the outside of the left sitting bone? And rest the left foot and leg. And we'll start when you're ready to do the same thing, printing the inner side of the left foot. Is it as easy? Is it harder? Can you do it without engaging the toes and create tension in them? I kind of can't yet. And as you're doing it, as you're focusing on doing less and less and less, but still moving back and forth, what are you doing with your head, with your neck? What are you doing with your breathing? Is it continuous, or do you stop in the areas of difficulties? While the left side is moving back and forth, is the right side at ease? Or is it doing something? How much your abdominals are engaging as you're moving backwards? And rest. Maybe roll your pelvis back a little bit and just rest for a second.
Yes.
I should have done it between the legs, but the clock is in front of me and I'm like racing.
Do you have one side that is stronger than the other?
Oh, of course, we
Yeah.
all do. We're handmade.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, I call it we are handmade.
Oh, yes.
We're not cookie cutters.
No. Yeah.
But that's the beauty, is to find out what it is and how to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how much attention do we want to put into friendships that don't work for us? And how much do we want to ease out of it? How much tension do you put into, or how much you can let go of things that are not necessary? It's like weeding.
Yeah.
By having the awareness. Okay, so let's go back into the left foot. Now we're going to connect between the second and third toe, going up through the middle of the patella, into the femur, into the sitting bones, right on through the sitting bones, going through the two bones in the lower leg, through the center of the foot, to the center of the knee. And as you're doing it, finding the gliding motion of the left side. When you're ready to pay attention to the joint, the sacroiliac joint in the back, between the sacrum and the ilium. You can put your hand there if you want. You can put the other hand on your ilium in the front. And find the gliding. And if you feel that gliding of the left side, let's take it back into the inside and allow the knee to come and allow the pelvis to go forward, like with the heel, pivoting the heel. And bring the heel down, and then pivot the heel up and inward so the pelvis is going out.
Out? Oh, this way?
Yeah, we're combining.
Okay.
So the heel comes up and goes out, and the pelvis rolls forward. We come back, we lower the heel, we lift the heel and we pivot it inward, the knee goes out and the pelvis rolls backwards. And then we bring the heel down. And then we lift the heel and we pivot it outward, and the pelvis is going forward. And then we lift the heel and we pivot it inward, and the pelvis is rolling outward. And we lift the heel and the pelvis rolls forward and down. And we lift the heel and we pivot it inward, and the pelvis goes and come back to the center and rest. We're going to lift both heels and we're going to pivot both heels forward, and we're getting a lengthening, a widening of the abdominals that attach to the ilium. And we can roll backwards. We're going to keep the heels up and we're going to roll the heel out, and the pelvis will go forward and we're tilting forward. And we're going to go out and we're going to go in. And notice suddenly how easy it is if you're sitting on the edge of the chair. Roll forward, come forward a little bit, a lot of it. That it actually becomes easy now to go back and go forward by aligning and working with the legs rather than going right? And find the ease. It's like swinging, like being a little kid. So you're swinging on your sitting bones, rotating around them and back, and around them and forward, and around them and back, and around them and forward. And as you're doing it, you're sending lubrication into the joint, into the sacral. You're opening it when the knees are in, you are closing it when the knees are out, and you're doing a pumping, sending some good stuff, some synovial fluid into the joint, lubricating it. And we can actually do it internally to ourselves. And come to center and slide all the way back to the back of the chair. And we're going to shift our attention now into our lungs and to our ribs. And as you know, each rib is attached to a joint in the back, in the spine. And joint have movement. Even if it's slight, they do have movement. So the ribs can move. And as we inhale, we either support the breath with the movement of the ribs, or we view the ribs as a cage and we breathe shallowly and depriving ourselves with full potential. So go ahead and find a place to put your hand where you do feel that you're breathing. So if you feel it under your armpit, put your hand there. If you feel it underneath your breast, put it down there. If you feel it to the side, put it there. Find a place where you do have movement and you do breathe. And change the side and see if you can find a place on the other side where there is a breath and movement. And see if you can find another place where there is movement. Maybe it's above your chest. And change sides. And just one more, maybe even down at the bottom of your back. Even if you don't feel it, maybe put your hand or just your attention and see if you can start breathing into the lower floating ribs in the back. And change sides and see if you can invite breath into the lower ribs on that side. And slow down the exhale. Inhale and feel the movement. And slow down the exhale. And let go the hand. And the last breath for today is inhale through the belly and maybe lift it up to the chest. And exhale as slow as you can, but with full relaxation, without tension in anywhere. Not in the chest, not in the belly, not in the face. And when you're ready, open your eyes, since people are already waiting outside the door.
I see that.